It is Friday morning. It is 6:14 a.m. Your phone vibrates twice against the nightstand. You reach out, your eyes still adjusting to the cold morning light, and there it is, the notification you have been waiting on for 14 days. Your paycheck has officially landed in your account. $3,450 net. That is your income after federal taxes, state deductions, healthcare premiums, and the invisible cuts that shrink your gross earnings long before you ever touch a single dollar. A quiet wave of relief washes over your brain. You look at that total standing on your app, and for a moment you feel secure. You take a sip of coffee and tell yourself this pay cycle will be different. This is the month you save, invest, and build momentum. Then, the reality of 2026 steps into the room. Before you even leave your driveway for work, the silent deductions begin their relentless march. Your rent or mortgage auto drafts, your auto insurance policy, which climbed another 14% this year for no reason other than corporate recalculation claims it's cut. The grocery bill from 2 nights ago clears. The utility company takes theirs. By 5 p.m. on Friday afternoon, that powerful $3,400 deposit has been systematically dismantled. You didn't spend it on luxury or flights to Europe. You simply paid for the privilege of existing in a post-inflation economy. And what is left sitting in your checking account is a strange, ambiguous pool of capital. Maybe $600, maybe $800. It isn't enough to feel wealthy, but it is just enough to create a dangerous psychological illusion. It sits there in one single checking account, a messy, it's unorganized soup of leftover rent buffer, upcoming gas money, weekend dining cash, and vague intentions of future savings. Because all that money lives in one single place, your brain treats it as spendable noise. 2 weeks later, on Thursday night, exactly 9 hours before your next paycheck arrives, you log back into your bank app. The balance reads $41.16. You stare at the glass screen in silence. You didn't make any catastrophic financial blunders. You worked 45 hours a week. You stayed late on Tuesday. Yet somehow, 14 days of your life, your labor, and your focus vanished without leaving a single permanent trace on your net worth. Here is the uncomfortable truth that mainstream financial advice refuses to acknowledge. The problem is not your income. The problem is your cash flow architecture. Flowing all your earnings into a single account forces your daily willpower to fight a frictionless system designed for consumption, not wealth building. In 2026, relying on willpower to save money is financial suicide. Today on Peak Ledger, we are dismantling the single account trap. I will walk you through the exact 3-account wealth formula, the automated cash flow architecture used by self-made individuals to build stealth net worth every payday, without spreadsheets or fragile discipline. If you master this 3-account system today, you will never look at a paycheck the same way again. To understand why the 3-account wealth formula works, you must first understand the psychological flaw built into the traditional single checking account. Human psychology operates on visual and contextual cues. When you open your banking app and see one total number, let's say $4,000, your subconscious brain processes that single figure as your available liquid bandwidth. Behavioral economists call this mental accounting liquidity blur. When all your money resides in one account, every dollar loses its identity. Tax money swims in the same pool as weekend dining cash, and your investment capital sits in the same balance as your insurance bill. This creates 3 catastrophic cognitive errors. Wealthy individuals do not rely on mental math. Instead, they build an infrastructure that routes cash automatically the moment it arrives, separating funds by function, friction, and psychological intention. This is the foundation of the 3-account wealth formula. 1. Account 1, the command center. Fixed survival and operations. 2. Account 2, the freedom engine, automated asset accumulation. 3. Account 3, the zero guilt catalyst, discretionary freedom. Let's break down each vault step by step, exactly how to set them up in 2026, and the rules that govern them. Account number 1 is your command center. This is a traditional checking account, but its purpose is strictly operational. Think of account 1 as the processing facility of your personal enterprise. This account has one single responsibility: to absorb your income and execute your non-negotiable, fixed survival expenses. Nothing else. When your employer processes your paycheck, or when clients pay your invoices. 100% of your incoming revenue lands inside account 1. However, you will never carry a debit card for account 1 or link it to digital wallets. Account 1 is an isolated fortress. Let's look at what belongs inside the command center. Housing obligations, rent, mortgage, property taxes, HOA fees, core utilities, electricity, water, natural gas, trash, high-speed internet, essential transportation, car payments, auto insurance, baseline fuel or transit passes, survival liabilities, minimum debt payments, health insurance, essential prescriptions, baseline grocery allocation, EAS, are your fixed survival baselines. They are the non-negotiable costs required to keep a roof over your head, food in your kitchen, the lights on, and your credit score protected. Here is the operational rule for Account 1 in 2026. Every single bill in this account must be configured on 100% automated direct debit. You should not be manually logging in on the first of the month to pay bills. Manual bill payment is an obsolete human liability. Notice what does not belong in Account 1. No weekend dining out, no morning coffee shop runs, no apparel shopping or online impulse purchases. Mixing discretionary spending with fixed survival bills creates liquidity blur. When you check Account 1, you are looking at a sterile clearinghouse, not spending money. To protect against 2026 inflation, maintain a static command buffer equal to 1 month of fixed expenses inside. Account 1. If your bills total $3,000, keep a $3,000 cushion. This guarantees you never overdraft or incur predatory banking fees. Predatory banking fees are taxes on chaotic cash flow. Account 1 completely neutralizes those systemic traps. Once Account 1 receives your pay and funds your operational baselines, it immediately sweeps the remaining capital into Accounts 2 and 3. That brings us to the most critical engine of your financial future. Account number 2. Account number 2 is the freedom engine. If Account 1 keeps you alive today, Account 2 is the vault that buys your freedom tomorrow. This account is not a standard checking account at a local bank. Keeping your wealth accumulation capital in a traditional checking account earning 0.01% interest is financial negligence. Account 2 must be hosted at a high-yield institutional platform or brokerage architecture completely. Separate from your primary operational bank, Account 2 has one simple, uncompromising mandate: to accumulate capital, protect it from inflation, and convert paper currency into income-generating assets. This is where you pay yourself first, not with leftovers at the end of the month, but automatically within 24 hours of your paycheck landing in Account 1. Let's look at the anatomical structure of Account 2 in 2026. Now, listen carefully to the governing law of Account 2, because this is where 90% of wealth builders fail. Account 2 operates on the one-way valve principle. Capital flows into Account 2 automatically every single pay period. Capital never flows out of account to cover lifestyle expenses, temporary impulse buys, or weekend splurges. There is no debit card attached to Account 2, and credentials shouldn't even be saved on autofill. You are deliberately creating systemic friction. Making transfers take 48 to 72 hours eliminates over 90% of impulsive financial sabotage. The multi-day delay forces your emotional brain to cool down, causing most impulses to evaporate before the window opens. Let's talk about exact numbers for 2026. When your paycheck hits Account 1, a pre-calculated non-negotiable percentage, whether 15%, 20%, or 30% of your net income, is instantly swept into Account 2 via automated ACH transfer before you ever see it. Spend it or think about it. If you earn $4,000 net per month and your automated freedom engine rate is 20%, $800 vanishes into Account 2 on payday morning. You do not ask yourself if you feel like saving $800 this month. The transaction occurs silently in the dark at 3 a.m. on payday. You adapt your lifestyle to the remaining capital, forcing your personal economy to operate on what is left. This is the exact psychological mechanism that transforms ordinary salary earners into silent millionaires. They don't become rich because they possess extraordinary willpower. They become rich because they built a system where it is mathematically impossible for them not to build wealth. Which brings us to the third account, the component that makes this entire system sustainable for decades without burning out. Account number 3 is the zero guilt catalyst. This is where extreme frugality advice fails. The internet is flooded with financial gurus telling you to stop drinking $3 lattes, cancel every subscription, never dine out, and live like a monk for 30 years so you can enjoy wealth when you are old. That mindset is deeply flawed. Extreme deprivation creates financial rebellion. Just like an overly restrictive crash diet causes a person to binge it on day 21, hyper-restrictive financial deprivation causes people to suffer emotional burnout, abandon their budget, and go on destructive spending sprees. Account 3 exists to completely eliminate financial burnout. Account 3 is a separate checking account with its own dedicated debit card. It receives one automated transfer every pay cycle, your discretionary lifestyle allowance. This is your guilt-free spending money. This is capital allocated specifically for you to enjoy your life today. Let's look at what belongs inside Account 3. Weekend dinners out with friends and family. Morning artisanal coffee runs. Wardrobe upgrades and personal styling. Concert tickets, sporting events, and weekend getaways. Hobbies, gaming, personal entertainment, and tactical splurges. Here's the psychological magic of Account 3. The balance inside Account 3 represents total, unadulterated financial permission. When you pull out the debit card for Account 3 to buy a jacket or pay for a lavish Friday night dinner, you do not experience a single microgram of financial guilt. Why? Because you know with absolute mathematical certainty that 1. Your rent, utilities, insurance, and survival bills in Account 1 are already 100% funded and automated. 2. Your long-term wealth, investments, and emergency reserves in Account 2 have already received their non-negotiable cut. Whatever sits in Account 3 is pure, unencumbered spending power. If the balance in Account 3 reads $350 on Saturday morning, you can spend every single cent of that money down to $0 by Sunday night without compromising your financial future by even 1 millimeter. You have completely decoupled lifestyle enjoyment from financial anxiety. If Account 3 hits 0 5 days before payday, you don't panic or touch investments. You accept that your allowance is spent, brew coffee at home, and await Friday's automated refresh. You have built a psychological playground with steel guardrails. Now that you understand the anatomical design of all 3 accounts, let's look at the exact operational execution blueprint. How to configure this payday automation routine down to the hour in 2026. Let's turn theory into operational reality. How do you orchestrate this system so that it runs on complete autopilot every single time you receive a paycheck in 2026? We execute what we call the T24 payday cascade routine. Here is the exact chronological timeline of how your cash moves across 24 hours on payday. At 7 a.m., $700.00 is automatically pulled out of Account 1 and propelled into Account 2. $350.00 routes into your high-yield capital shield, $350. Routes into your automated index fund investment engine. Account 1 balance is now reduced to $2,800. Your wealth for the month is already secured. Stage 3. T plus 8 hours Friday, 11 a.m. The lifestyle refresh 4 hours later. The second automated transfer executes, moving your 20% lifestyle allowance directly into Account 3, the zero guilt catalyst. That $700 charges Account 3's debit card with guilt-free capital for the next 14 days. By Friday evening, every dollar has an assigned mission. You didn't open a spreadsheet or move cash manually. You'd simply let the architecture execute. For variable income, establish a baseline draw system. All client revenue flows into a reservoir inside Account 1, and you pay yourself a fixed monthly salary draw into the 3-account cascade, neutralizing income volatility. Now, let's look at what this 3-account system quietly does to your financial trajectory over a 5-year horizon. Wealth is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built in the quiet, unglamorous implementation of superior systems repeated over time. Let's trace the physical, psychological, financial transformation of a person who implements the 3-account wealth formula starting today in 2026. Financially, by sweeping 20% of a modest $4,000 net monthly income, you have accumulated $9,600 in liquid capital plus earned high-yield interest. You cross your first major milestone, your first $10,000 net worth anchor, At 36 months, you have contributed nearly $29,000 in direct principal. Combined with market returns, dividend reinvestments, and high-yield interest compounding, your freedom engine crosses $35,000 to $40,000. Something profound happens psychologically. At year 3, you experience the momentum shift. You realize that your investments are generating cash flow while you sleep. A dividend payout of $40 lands in your account. Didn't come from your boss or overtime. It came from capital you deployed automatically 2 years ago. You stop viewing money as currency to buy consumer items and start viewing money as economic soldiers whose sole job is to capture more soldiers for your ecosystem. Year 5. The stealth wealth inflection. At 60 months, you enter true financial sovereignty. Your $48,000 in contributions accelerates past $65,000 to $75,000 with market growth, increasing your earnings while keeping the same splits, scales that balance past $100,000. You have quietly become a silent centurion. Look at the contrast in 2026. The average person earns a similar salary and appears prosperously zing new cars and wearing designer brands. But behind closed doors, they live on a high-wire thread without a net, one medical bill away from panic. You drive a reliable, paid-off vehicle. You wear clean, unbranded clothing. You don't brag or flex on social media. Nobody looking at you on the street realizes that you have $75,000 growing in automated assets, 6 months of liquid runway sitting in high-yield reserves, and zero consumer debt. You possess the ultimate modern flex, stealth freedom. You walk into your workplace every morning knowing you are there by choice, not by desperation. If an employer demands unreasonable hours or compromises your values, you hold the leverage to walk away. You have built an unbreakable financial moat around your life. And it all started with one single decision on a random Friday morning in 2026. The decision to build a 3-account architecture and automate your payday. Wealth is not about flashy displays. It is not about proving your status to strangers who do not care about you. True wealth is the quiet ability to wake up in the morning and know that your time, your calendar, and your life belong entirely to you. The world in 2026 is engineered to keep you consuming and distracted on a treadmill of financial friction. Every app and advertisement is designed to siphon off your capital before you turn it into freedom. You can remain trapped in the single account cycle, relying on willpower and wondering where your money went. Or you can take control today. Open your accounts, set up your command center, build your freedom engine, establish your zero-guilt catalyst, wire up the automated transfers, and let the math build your future while you live your life. Pay yourself first. Automate the process. Build your wealth in silence. If this breakdown brought clarity to your financial journey, hit the like button, subscribe to Peak Ledger, share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth today. Leave a comment below with the word system if you are committing to automating your cash flow this year. This is Peak Ledger. Master your money or let the world master you. I will see you in the next analysis.